It's ZoTime. Welcome to the ZoTime show presented by HoopsNBrews.com. I will be your host for the day, Daniel Beltz, and Laker fans out there, and if you're a non-Laker fan listening to this, it's been a very tiring season, and we're only 56 games in. I can't believe, 6-7 months ago, we were so excited that LeBron James joined this team. We were excited to see what Lonzo, Ingram, Kuzma could do in year 2/year 3. We were excited to see what Josh Hart could do. We were excited to see what this bench unit can do. And then, as we all know, the injuries hit, and the injuries hit hard. LeBron missed 17, 18 games. Lonzo's going on his 10th, 11th missed game. Ingram was suspended and hurt. Rondo has been hurt. Josh Hart is now hurt. Kuzma missed a couple games. JaVale missed 10 due to pneumonia. Tyson wasn't here with us the entire season. It's just been draining. I don't remember a Lakers season being this draining since 2012-13 when that was the Kobe Dwight year, and that was the last year we made the playoffs, so maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel, but it's been tiring, especially last week due to all the trade rumors, trade demands, actual trades that the Lakers made. It was exhausting. That entire week felt like a month. And thankfully, All-Star break is right around the corner. This is early Tuesday morning, so you guys will be hearing this either after the Hawks game or maybe just a little bit before. We do play the Hawks today. Hopefully we win to get to 29-28, and I think we'll be a game and a half back of 8th place, but I did not expect us to be 28-28 right now, but injuries do happen, and it is what it is. Hopefully we are good enough, have enough talent, and hopefully the basketball gods kind of help us with the injury bug. Hopefully we do not hit that anymore. It's been a grueling season, and hey, basketball gods, maybe, I'm not saying season-ending injury, but maybe affect other teams for 1 to 3 games. Have De'Aaron Fox sit for 3-4 games, or Buddy Hield, which I believe either they've played in every single game but 1 or 2. That's crazy how some of the Lakers' most important players will miss 10 to 15 plus games, but you see all these other teams in contention kind of have perfect health, except for the Rockets, who dealt with Chris Paul, but they still had their MVP caliber player there the entire season. Meanwhile, LeBron, who's probably top 5 still in the league this year, although for MVP races it's tough because PG, Giannis, Harden, Steph, Durant have had fantastic years, so it'll be interesting to see where LeBron falls in that. But we didn't have our best player for a extended period of time. Meanwhile, all these other teams get to have pretty close to perfect health. So the fact that we're still in this, the fact that we have a shot, kind of shows resilience. I'm not going to hate on our team. I won't say LeBron stans are terrible. There's plenty of good LeBron stans out there that actually understand LeBron wasn't the only one hurt when he was out. But there was one in particular. I don't remember what her name was that I was debating with, but I brought up the team's record without Lonzo and how it compared to what it was without LeBron, and I'm not saying talent-wise or anything close or whatever, but I'm saying this team can't afford injuries, so when one of their main players get hurt, we're going to be trash. But for whatever reason, she holds the young Laker players more accountable than she does when LeBron plays. I'm well, why didn't we win with a full team versus Orlando? There were things we could have done then instead of just blaming it on losing to Cleveland or the Knicks. Yes, those are terrible losses, but this team without LeBron did beat the Thunder, and if Lonzo didn't get hurt in the second half versus the Rockets, we would have beat them to kind of make up for those two hideous losses, where the records would have been the same going into it, thinking, hey, we're not going to beat the Thunder, we're not going to beat the Rockets, but we're going to beat the Knicks and Cavs. So it's like you subtract 2, then you add 2. It washes out. But for whatever reason, this person just didn't want to see logic, and I can't make you see things you don't want to see. Like, it's okay to just say, hey, I don't like the guy. I don't see his value, and that's the end of that. But to come up with bullshit sayings like, I don't know, it's just weird. Some people are weird, man. And what's even weirder, record-wise, the Lakers are the 4th best team in California. I don't know if, like, the basketball gods just want to be cruel to us this year, but the Warriors, Kings, and Clippers all have better records than we do right now. Like, this is torture. But the weird thing is, everyone is either 500 or above, so it's strange. I don't know if that has ever happened with these 4 teams 56 games into the season where everyone was 500 or above. And I'm going to say the Lakers are going to be 29 and 28, so all 4 teams will be above 500 by the end of the day. And if we lose to the Hawks, blow up, just tank. If we lose to this Hawks team, just tank. The Hawks will be without their backup point guard, Jeremy Lin, so they should be shorthanded. So if we lose to this team, just start tanking. But yes, so factor in trades, trade rumors, injuries, being the 4th best team in California. I am drained. It's just, I don't know, this season feels like one thing happens and another thing happens and another thing happens and another thing. It's exhausting. And hopefully we get the train moving, but like, we look back at just last week, Zubac was playing some of his best basketball. Zvi in limited minutes showed like he's capable of playing NBA minutes, and then we trade Zvi, we trade Zubac for Reggie and Muscala, and like, I don't get why we traded Zubac, like, at all, and I don't think I will. Zvi, I get it, he wasn't shooting well from 3, so we went and got Reggie Bullock, but the Muscala trade is just strange, given that we have Mo Wagner on the bench, who can space the floor, plays with energy, at least tries on defense. Funny thing is, Mike Muscala actually got hurt in, not funny, but like kind of like comedic relief, because the Lakers have dealt with injuries all year. So hey, new guy, guess what? You're going to get hurt in your first game with the Lakers. It's kind of strange how that happened. I believe he sprained his ankle, and he's questionable for tonight, but Zubac had been showing a lot of good signs of being able to finish around the rim, playing hard on defense, kind of anchoring our defense due to the fact that JaVale has kind of been, who was calling him a space cadet, where he's just not there, like, mentally. The athletic gifts, the skill set is there, but whether it's due to scheming with drop coverage or just him not being able to move fast enough horizontally, he was getting attacked. Go rewatch the Philadelphia 76er game. I feel like JaVale was attacked for like 10 straight possessions, where I think they scored 8 out of 10 of them. So, I don't know. The Zubac thing is strange, and like, we didn't even get anything remotely like valuable back, so you never know. Like, I get it. We might not sign Zubac in the offseason, but we got to trade him now when we're trying to make the playoffs. Like, I don't know. Then we get to the AD thing, which I'll talk later. All the rumors of the young kids seeing their names in papers, the Ben Simmons and Magic Johnson thing, which probably is a lot to do about nothing. Ben Simmons sees himself as a Magic Johnson type, wants to get some words of advice from him. His team asks to work with Magic Johnson. We go back, say, can he, I guess, to Philly? Then Elton Brand says no. So that has probably a much to do about nothing sort of thing, and I feel like I aged a bit this week. There was also the blowout losses to the Indiana Pacers and the Philadelphia 76ers, which I believe we gave up 136 points and also 143. That is an insane amount of points to give up in regulation time. Like, those games did not go overtime. We couldn't defend to save our life, and I know why, but I just kind of want you guys to realize why we've been so trash defensively, and I'll go over this a lot later. But it is what it is, and I'll say this about Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma, and I will talk about them later as well. They have handled this entire situation like pros. You can say what you want about their trade value. You can say that, I guess, you would rather prefer Tatum or Brown, although I don't see it. But the way Ingram and Kuzma have carried themselves, have continued to produce, it seems like Kuzma finally got healthy, so he's back to lighting up the scoreboard. I don't think they deserve this scrutiny, but here we are. And they're playing very, very, very well. So, you never know. I can't... Hello, nephew. My nephew just walked in. You want to say hi? Oh, you got candy from Valentine's Day.
It was at preschool.
It was at preschool? Okay, I just got to finish this, and then we can, okay? Come here. It's all right. So, for those saying that their value in trades is worse than what Boston is, I advise you to consider the system, the coach, the amount of pressure that the Lakers players get for playing in LA, and looking at what D'Angelo Russell did and Julius Randle did elsewhere. Just kind of realize the value of what they're doing now and what other players have done after they leave Los Angeles. Also, notice how Laker players are talked about once they do actually get rid of the Lakers jersey. You'll see a lot of people have certain opinions about Lakers players when they're in LA and kind of lowball their ceiling, lowball their floor, but once they leave Los Angeles, then it's everyone falls in love with how could LA get rid of them. It's strange because it keeps happening. There wasn't a lot of Jordan Clarkson love when he was in LA. Once he went to Cleveland, there were a lot of reports, a lot of things written that, hey, Jordan Clarkson might be the reason that LeBron stays in Los Angeles. And that was kind of funny, but it is what it is. And then you saw the same thing with Larry Nance, who... Larry Nance is a really good rotational player. He will be a really good rotational player for a long time because he does the fundamentals, has the skill set, and is a great team player. But once he left, you saw them love him even more. You saw the same thing with D'Angelo Russell once he was allowed to develop under a coaching staff, a system that wants to develop young talent instead of getting star players to produce now. You saw Julius Randle sort of get a bigger role in New Orleans. Or actually, I wouldn't say a bigger role, just a more confined role, an actual, minutes, thing. Like, he's starting more, he's finishing more in New Orleans. And while the production is somewhat similar to his starting stats in Los Angeles, the appreciation is a lot more. The love for his game is more, and it's just once you leave LA, people love you. And you can say, oh, it's Lakers. No, it's not Lakers conspiracy. Look at how each and every checkmark NBA media talk about person or whatever talks about these young assets, these young players. Look at it 2 to 3 years ago. Look at it now. And you'll see a huge difference. And the only one common denominator is they left Los Angeles. So then we get to the value of these Lakers assets. When they were in Los Angeles, all those assets were previously talked upon being very low assets as well. But since they've left, they've done what? They've developed. They've played better. So that's why I kind of foreshadow if they are moved eventually. If Ingram, Lonzo, Hart or Kuzma leave Los Angeles, be prepared to see them become media darlings once they leave LA. Is that wrong for people to do? Yeah, but you can't stop them from thinking whatever they're going to think just because you wear a Lakers jersey. It's hinted through a lot of jealousy through the Lakers, for the most part, always being good. You can't stop hate. You can only present facts, present examples, present what has happened before as just evidence as, hey, this is what will happen. And also, the players I mentioned before are in their 4th, 5th, 6th NBA season. It's almost like young players develop. Who would have ever fucking thought that, right? But again, common sense doesn't happen when analysts, checkmark people, HP want to talk about Lakers players. It's, no, we have to judge them for what they are now. What they are now is what they will always be. But once they leave LA, let's talk about their future. Let's talk about their potential. It's weird. It is just so damn weird. And so you look at Boston's assets, right? People look at Boston's asset as what they're looking at long-term instead of what they are now, which, as of right now, stat-wise, efficiency-wise, every single young player the Lakers have is playing better than their counterpart. Kuzma has better stats than Tatum. Ingram has better stats than Brown. Lonzo has better stats than Rozier/Smart, although Smart has played fantastic this season. This is one of my favorite Marcus Smart seasons because he's actually shooting the three well, playing great defense. But again, Lonzo's playing better than he and Rozier. But for whatever reason, it's let's judge the Lakers for what they are now instead of what they will be in the future. But it's, hey, the Celtics' assets are sent down from Jesus Christ himself, and they should be looked at for what they're going to be in the future. I don't get it. I've tried to look at it from different angles, from different mindsets. I've talked to different NBA fans about what they see in these players, and the resounding thing is, yes, Tatum is the best asset. We can admit that. But the gap between he and Ingram is not that far. And then after those two, you're probably taking Lonzo and Kuzma after everyone else. But again, since Tatum had a playoff run that was similar to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's in Detroit, look at the stats, look at the percentages. I'm not making this up. It's similar. But since it's Jason Tatum and Boston, media darlings, Woj's got their... Yeah, but it's just strange. But again, we can't control that. All you can control is presenting facts, presenting examples, and just trying to have people look at these things in good faith, which brings me to my next topic, and that was the whole AD trade fiasco. And before we start this topic, make sure you guys go ahead and follow ZoTime Podcast on Twitter, SoundCloud. Actually, that's under Hoops and Brews on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you check out Hoops and Brews' latest episode as well. It's about... I think it's their best one, personally. TPJ is... I think that was TPJ's best episode. He was hilarious and also presented pretty good, like, stats, pretty good arguments for what his beliefs are, and I think it was his best. And it's about LeBron being Karl Malone in Los Angeles. And yeah, personally, I think it's both Pavy and TPJ's best episode. They feed off of each other very well. And I don't really listen to NBA The Jump, Undisputed, and First Take. I very rarely ever check into those on TV. If I see a clip on Twitter, I'll comment it, but I pretty much just listen to Hoops and Brews. Sometimes I'll check out the Zach Lowe podcast, but if you haven't already, make sure you check out Hoops and Brews' podcast. In my opinion, it's the best, if not the best out there. I think it's done better than The Ringer. These two guys actually present jokes, with stats, and also not afraid to admit when they're wrong, but will also remind you of when they've been right. People on TV will only remind you when they're right. They will never talk about when they are wrong. And that's one of my biggest things with all these media people. It's like, you go on TV, you go on a podcast, and you spew things, you talk about things, you only present one-sided arguments, yet when you've been proven wrong, we don't hear from you. It's, oh, this happened and it wasn't my fault for seeing this, it's a variable that we couldn't see coming or whatever. It's some bullshit excuse. You guys never own up to your takes. Both Pavy and TPJ own up to their takes. I do as well. I've been wrong, and I will continue to be wrong about certain things, and also continue to be right about certain things. If you're in the basketball business to watch NBA basketball and enjoy basketball, and you actually talk about basketball, you're going to be wrong. And it's okay to admit that. No one bats 1,000 in anything. Unless you're Michael Jordan in the finals. But, like, it's okay to be wrong, so just admit when you're wrong, and we could go about this thing in a entirely different way. We could be respectful towards each other once we just admit when we're wrong about certain takes. But again, getting that to happen from everyone besides the people at HoopsNBrews is tough, because then people just double down on their takes and whatnot. But Pavy mentioned to TPJ that I was stressed out about all of this trade fiasco last week, and I was. I don't really, like, ever day drink, or, like, how would you say it? I don't normally day drink, and I also normally don't drink by myself at home. Unless people are over, unless I'm going out, unless it's brunch on Sundays. But Wednesday night, Thursday morning, I was drinking. I was stressed the hell out. I didn't know if half the team was leaving to New Orleans. I didn't know if we were actually getting Anthony Davis. I didn't know what the hell was going on. And it was a stressful time. I am glad that it's over. I'm glad the kids are still here. I'm glad they're going to have a playoff run this season, hopefully, if we make the playoffs. But, yeah, like, last week was terrible. It was the Clutch Sports leaks. It was the Pelicans leaks. It was the Lakers leaks. There were so many different sides leaking stuff, to Woj, to Shams, to Chris Haynes, to Tanya, to Brad. It was a lot to kind of take in. If you watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is probably my favorite TV show, if you've seen Charlie in the mailroom talking to Mac about the mail, and about Pepe Sylvia, I believe the name is, and he has who in the hell is Pepe, and he has all the stuff on the board with all these, like, different angles, and he looks stressed the hell out. That was me wondering, is this going to happen? Is this not? And I don't know. Like, it was stressful, and, like, I get it. The Pelicans did this to make LA look foolish. Cool. Congrats. I mean, the only thing that should be looked at as foolish is not making the conference finals with Chris Paul or Anthony Davis, and I think that's what we should look at as foolish, but it is what it is. Congrats. The biggest thing you guys are known for is getting rid of two top probable NBA players of all time with Chris Paul and Anthony Davis, never reaching a Final Four with them, and your crown to glory is dragging out a trade process that you were never going to trade with in good faith. Cool. Celebrate it during Mardi Gras. Hey, we dragged the Lakers in trade talks. Cool. That's your crowning achievement in New Orleans. Cool. I'm glad the ref didn't call pass interference. I'm glad Drew Brees will likely only retire with one ring. I'm glad you guys have never made it to a conference finals. I'm glad the Lakers beat I believe it was the Hornets and Chris Paul in 2011 in the first round. I'm glad DeMarcus Cousins didn't sign with you guys. I'm glad you guys lost Buddy Hield and a pick for a guy that walked. That's awesome of you, especially since Buddy Hield's playing very, very good. But again, enough about New Orleans because, again, the only thing they're going to be known for is not making a conference finals with 2 top 50 players of all time and a trade fiasco. Cool. That's your guys' claim to fame. You guys are the Clippers. Clippers never made a conference finals either. And I believe the Charlotte Hornets haven't either. So it goes Hornets, Pelicans, Clippers as the 3 teams to not make a conference finals. So great pairing of franchises. Although I believe the Clippers will get out of that very soon. Probably next year or the year after. But enough about other people's misery. Let's talk about our own. Kuzma, Lonzo, Ingram, and Hart all saw their names in trade rumors, and they all saw that report from Brad that the Lakers offered all of them. It wasn't speculation. It was, hey, we will give you Kuz, Zo, Ingram, Hart, picks, and whatever the hell you want. It was the front office, Magic, Pelinka saying, hey, you guys are gone if they accept this. And I get their pros. I get they're supposed to handle themselves in a certain way. They make X amount of $1 million playing a game of basketball, but still. This is, in my opinion, more than just a front office trying to trade you. This is the person that plays basketball with you. It feels like it came from LeBron and his camp. So, I get where you're supposed to be pro if it's the front office, but when it's your teammate, that probably stings a little. We saw this with Bynum and Kobe when Kobe wanted to ship Bynum out for what I believe was Jason Kidd or Kevin Garnett. I totally blank out. I think it was Jason Kidd, but I do not I think that's actually what happened. But when you feel like it's your teammate orchestrating this, which may or may not even be remotely true, who knows if LeBron said, "Hey, go get me AD." So I don't want to put LeBron down because. Hell, everyone wants to play with Anthony Davis, so I get it. But when it feels like it's from your teammate's camp, it probably hurts a lot more than just the front office. And I hope the meeting that Magic had with these players individually works. We'll see if it actually does. And I hope the young core uses this as fuel. Hey, I'm going to make you guys regret the day you try to trade me. But I hope it doesn't bite the Lakers in the ass come negotiation day for contracts because they're hey, you guys didn't want me then, I don't want you now. There's a way this bites the Lakers in the ass. And yeah, I hope they use it in the correct way as fuel, but I can't blame them if they're bitter towards the Lakers for this because they've seen Clarkson, Nance, Randall, and D'Lo all either get traded or let go in the summer. They've seen promising young players leave and not be valued by Los Angeles, so you never know. I hope they make them not want to trade us or trade them. I hope they ball out for the final 26 games and have a great postseason. Get that knee healthy, Hart. Hopefully Lonzo returns from his ankle injury at some point. And the shitty thing about this whole AD fiasco is we're probably going to talk about this once June 20 whatever hits. This will be talked about very soon. 4 or 5 months from now. And it sucks. The Pelicans were asking and for what, in my opinion, is too much to get all of our promising players, young players, picks, and cap relief. That is a ton. I don't think New Orleans gets a better offer than that. And I do think Demps, I do think the Bensons, I do think the Pelicans will be looked at funny for not accepting that deal later in life. That's just my opinion. I could be very wrong. These players could never turn out to be what I think they're going to be, and then the Pelicans look smart for not taking them on. That can absolutely happen. But in my opinion, they're going to regret that they never made this trade because you're getting 4 players on team-friendly contracts for the next at least 2 years who can all produce. You're also getting picks, and you would also get cap relief where you can surround them with something, or you would have the correct money to re-sign Julius Randle. But instead, you guys were dicks, operating in not good faith, holding out for Tatum, which Kyrie can make this whole situation look very funny for New Orleans. And I get wanting Anthony Davis. I get offering the entire team. He is a 25-year-old All-NBA MVP caliber player when he plays with passion. I do think he's kind of just like half-assing it, and he's still putting up insane numbers. So, like, I get what he's worth. Like, I get it. It's like I get why they offered him. I get why it didn't happen. But I do think the Pelicans will regret this for many years to come. But we are rolling with the players that we have, and I'm very happy that Lonzo, Ingram, Kuzma, and Hart didn't find new homes. Also selfishly happy because I don't have to change the name of this podcast to something else right now. It is still a ZoTime podcast for at least the next 4 to 5 months. We will see what happens. And that'll bring us up to the next subject, which is Lonzo Ball. And look, I get the hate that he gets. I get that you don't like his father publicly speaking everywhere. Like, is it trash that you guys judge a player for what his father says? Yes. Should you guys have an opinion on what a father says about certain things? I mean, I guess it looks foolish when you judge a player based off what his dad says, because if you've talked to, I believe last year it was Julius Randle, when he was asked point blank, does it affect you? And he says no, because Lonzo carries himself in a certain way with the team. And Lonzo blocks all of what his dad says out. So if Lonzo's doing it, why can't everyone else with a common sense do it? But it is what it is. People have to hate him for whatever reason. And if you took me back to the summer of 2017 and said Lonzo Ball would be the biggest, or the factor, or if not the biggest factor on the Lakers being a good defensive team, I would have said he probably hurts us in that area. Instead, he is our anchor for our defense, which is wild. Given everything I saw at UCLA, I thought he was going to be this high offensive-minded player, which he absolutely can be. Look at the games without LeBron, but we don't put him in the correct situations due to coaching system. That's a subject for a different day, but we're going to talk about Lonzo Ball and his defense. If you would have told me Lonzo Ball would be our defensive anchor, I would have thought you were smoking the best of weed. I would have laughed in your face and said, cool. Did he have good defensive instincts, qualities at UCLA? Yes, but did I think he would be the thing holding together a top 10 defense when healthy compared to the 28th worst defense in the league without him? There's no way I would have seen us moving that drastically, which is crazy. We are god-awful without him on the defensive side. And yes, Hart is hurt as well, who's not the greatest perimeter defender, but he can play post defense, so yes, we're also missing Hart, but Lonzo holds this team together defensively. And I would have never pictured that 2-3 years ago. And when you look at Lonzo Ball, you have to remember he's in year 2. He hasn't had a healthy offseason. He's kind of going through similar ankle, knee issues that Curry did in his beginning years. There might need to be changes made in low tops to high tops, taping, braces. There might need to be things adjusted during the offseason on how he carries himself, more leg workouts, certain routines to strengthen other muscles to kind of hopefully prevent these injuries from happening, although this latest injury just looks like a freak accident. But enough about that. We have to remind ourselves he's in year 2. He hasn't had a healthy offseason, and he's able to impact the game in so many more ways than people want to admit. It's easy enough to say that, hey, he's not efficient scoring. If you've watched the Lakers this past 2 weeks, our issue isn't scoring. Or if you just watch us since Lonzo's been out, our issue isn't scoring. We have enough people that can put the ball in the basket. We have Kuzma, Ingram, LeBron. KCP can actually get buckets off the bench. JaVale can put up 20 and 10. I believe that's what he's done the past 2 games. Although it's skewed because he's playing awful defense. But the Lakers have enough talent to put the ball in the basket. We got shooters like Reggie Bullock and Muscala, who, I guess. But the Lakers do not need, what would you call it? They don't need a 30-point per game scorer from the point guard position because we have Kuzma, Ingram, LeBron, who can all get 20-plus points on a given night. So the thing is judging Lonzo offensively is just trash. Look at what he does for our team. Look at Boston, look at Philadelphia, look at those games. We gave up 136 and 143 points in regulation. I also believe, wait, no, that was the Pacers, which we gave up 136. I also believe we gave up 120 against Boston. So these are insane amount of points per game that we're allowing. And I get we're in a offensive era, but everyone on Twitter preaches they wish more defense was played. Yet, when the Lakers have a really good defender, you hate on him for not being able to be a 50-40-90 type player right now. Or a 40-40-70 player right now. Totally just not even giving him credit on defense. So I just find it strange that you preach you want defense, yet when a defensive player shows his face, no, he can't hit free throws. No, he can't do shit on offense. So it's just strange. And in the 9/10 games, if you count Houston's second half, Lonzo has been out. We have been disgusting on defense. Like, if you look at that Houston game after he got hurt, we gave up 92 points in the second half / overtime. So that is 24. That's 29 minutes of play. We give up 92 points. That is disgusting. That is terrible. Like, I can't believe how pathetic we are on that end defensively without Lonzo. And, I mean, yes, Rondo hit a buzzer beater. Rondo plays very well certain games. But defensively, he is atrocious. Defensively, KCP has been getting lost. Defensively, JaVale is awful. Defensively, Tyson's been below average after the first 10 or 15 so games that we had him. Kuzma and LeBron don't play the greatest of defense, but they play enough defense. Ingram plays good on defense, but without Lonzo, we have been awful. And currently, we are 3-6 without Lonzo. 3-7 if you include Houston. We will be 4-6 or 4-7 after the Atlanta game, and hopefully Lonzo comes back after that. But why I bring this record up is you guys use this to show LeBron's importance when he wasn't the only one out. It was Braun was out, Rondo was out, and Kuzma missed a couple games. JaVale missed a couple games in that stretch, I believe. So LeBron wasn't the only one out during that stretch, yet you guys wanted to show his importance by records without that player. Yet, when Lonzo gets that same record without him, and yes, Hart has been dealing with knee tendonitis, and I get Hart is a pretty good rotational player for us, and hopefully he finds his shot once he's done dealing with knee tendonitis. It's all of a sudden we can't use that because for whatever reason, who cares? It's if stats look good for Lonzo, we turn a blind eye. But when the stats don't look good for Lonzo, we magnify it. And that's national media. It's strange. Like, I just don't get what you want from a second-year player that makes this much of a positive impact on a team without lighting it up from offense. That's really strange. Give him a healthy offseason. Let him develop offensively. And yes, these are small jumps. He went from 36% from the field last year to 40%. He went from 30% shooting from the field from 3 last year to 33%. Give that another season, another off season, and this one healthy. That improves to, if we keep the same line of improvement, it goes from 44 from the field and 35, 36 from 3, which is a lot more respectable. All he needs to do is fine-tune whatever the hell, try and shoot free throws underhanded, find something that works for you. Try to get that, we don't need you to be a 90% free throw shooter, just get to 70. At least 60 plus next season. Then we can work with whatever the hell. And then we can show the defensive stats, the defensive impact you make on a game. And here's some stats from Unique Sports Plus. Also follow them on Twitter. They provide a lot of excellent Lonzo Ball, Lakers, LaMelo, and a lot of other stats that are very unique and also very just useful for the people that actually watch the game to kind of see what their eye test tells them. Because Lonzo Ball is an eye test kind of player. If you watch us with him, we're better. If you watch us without him, we're worse. Funny how that works. Funny how sometimes it is as simple as an eye test. But then you have morons like HP who called Lonzo Ball a lucky defender who wanted to lessen his impact as a defensive player, yet the wheels have fallen off defensively without number 2. But I assume that's just luck for HP. And have we heard anything about Lonzo's defense after the Lakers have given up 120 plus per game without Lonzo? Haven't heard a peep. And I find that funny, but it is what it is. And this is from Unique Sports. With Lonzo, we give up 26.8 points per quarter. That's still like 6 points per game. Without him, we're giving up 31.5 points per quarter, which gets to like 126. Huge difference. And you can say, well, what about offense? Does the offensive rating and defensive rating make up? Outside of LeBron, I think everyone else is worse on the court in terms of on and off. Yes, even Kuzma and Ingram are more of a negative on and off the court than Lonzo, but I'm not here to put those players. I'm not that guy. All 3 of them are really good prospects. But outside of LeBron, I think LeBron's our only rotational player that's in the plus. Everyone else is below. Yes, even beloved Rondo from everyone else, who everyone wants Rondo to start. Lonzo's net rating, plus minus, they're all better than these other guys, yet we just turn a blind eye because we don't want to give Lonzo credit. But it is what it is. Defensive rating in their 9 to 10 games without Lonzo, I've already mentioned, is 119.6, which is terrible, which is good for the 3rd worst in the league. With Lonzo, I believe we were at like 107. We were the 3rd best defense in November, I believe top 8 in December. So, like, say what you want about his offense. Defensively, Lonzo does make a big enough impact where he definitely should start and finish games. Defensively, the facts are there. I can't make you like Lonzo. I can't even make you respect Lonzo, but these are it. And you can look at the same things last year. Defensively, he is what makes this team go. He is a 6'6" point guard with fast hands. Acting like he doesn't make us a better team or help us win games is idiotic and flat out wrong. You can provide examples with video, with stats, with games, but when he's on, we're going to win that game. So for you guys to act like he doesn't make us a better team is just idiotic. And that Stephen A clip is, ooh, you don't know basketball. You don't know basketball. That's how I feel when people judge Lonzo. If you don't see what he provides to the team, stop watching. Go watch football. Go watch baseball. I don't care to speak to you if you don't understand Lonzo's impact. Again, you can provide those offensive stats where he struggles. I get it. But he's still a positive in those games. Defensively, he can switch, deflect a lot of passes. He covers up for a lot of other people's miscues. Because he is 6'6", he can contest with anything almost at the rim. He can make it difficult. He picks up 94 feet. He plays the passing lane very well. His hands are always active. He gets a lot of steals that way. And it's nice to see when he's on how much impact he can have defensively. And then you saw in a couple of games LeBron was out with Lonzo, he started to turn it around offensively. Although they weren't the greatest of numbers and his free throw percentage was awful during that stretch, the field goal, the 3-point percentage, the assists, the points, the rebounds were all there. Everything you would like to see from a year 2 player was there except the free throws. So it's Lonzo does everything right. Let's focus on the one thing he does wrong. Or it's Lonzo's making such an impact this way. Let's look at the one thing and magnify it by 1,000 that he's not doing well. And that happens with every Laker player. With Ingram, who plays very good defense, and I'll talk about this in the next segment, against the Celtics, yes, he was 4 of 14, but he was locking Kyrie up. But again, we're only going to focus on him being 4 of 14 and not scoring enough. Sometimes I just feel exhausted trying to talk basketball with some of you guys. And this isn't meant at Laker fans because we're on game 56 this year. We saw Ingram his first and second year. We see the leaps he's taking. And we understand what we have. And hopefully here for a while. I want him and Lonzo always paired up for the rest of their NBA careers, but you can't always get what you want. And Lonzo is running underwater and will be reevaluated soon for his ankle injury. I'm hoping he's back after All-Star break. We're going to need all of our hands on deck to make this playoff push, and we'll see. Next, I want to talk about Ingram and Kuzma just versus Boston and Philly. And again, this happened after the trade deadline, so this is after they saw their names get dragged through everything. And those two young, valuable assets balled out. Like, they were both tremendous. Kuzma, man, like, he always seems to play very well against the Boston Celtics. And as a Laker fan, that is just tremendous because every single season, I always want to win, like, 2 games. And I always look at the Boston Celtic games. Like, those are the ones I need to happen. Everything else I want to happen. I want the Lakers to get 50-plus wins every season. But the 2 games I need every season are the ones against Boston. And Laker fans know why. Celtic fans know why. The rivalry's there. But Kuzma always seems to get up for playing Boston. Last year, he's the reason why we won the game. This year, he hit some very timely threes. He played very well. He scored 25 points and hit 5 of 8 from 3 and outplayed Jason Tatum again. So it's cool to see Kuzma outplay the guy that everyone calls Jesus Christ of basketball and the only thing worth trading AD for. And then you look at Brandon Ingram, who, against Boston, made life hell for Kyrie Irving. And yes, shot terribly. Like, Ingram was, 4 of 14? But you look at his overall impact on the game, 7 assists, 2 rebounds, held Kyrie to, I think, 3 of 13 from the field in, possessions they were matched up for. Also had 2 steals, 1 block, had that assist to Kuzma for 3 to put us either up 1 or tied. I do not remember. I believe it was up 1, but it is there for Ingram. He knows how to make impactful plays to win a NBA game. He is a 6'9" guy with a almost 8-foot wingspan, so he just terrorizes opposing guards when matched up upon him. And he was a plus 18 in the win. He is one of the key reasons why we won that game. It probably goes LeBron, Kuzma, Ingram in whatever order, and then Rondo hit the shot. So, Ingram and Kuzma always seem to get up for the big games, and hopefully this is a trend that continues to happen because Ingram has been playing very well since returning from injury in December. This has been one of his greatest streaks of his NBA career. Hopefully he continues that. Ingram also went 19-4-4 versus Philly. Shot over 50% in that game, so all you stat nerds that care about percentages, there it is. And also, both Kuzma and Ingram are hitting their free throws at a much better rate lately. That's all we need to see. Improvement, and that's it. Ingram was tasked to guard Jimmy Butler, and although Jimmy Butler did hit some shots over there, they were both nice contests. And then he also made him miss shots as well as not take those shots. It's just we were missing our best defender against Philly. That's why we gave up 143. Ingram and Lonzo together are a very good defensive couple, and that's why I said I want them to be together for the rest of their careers. So you pair Lonzo and Ingram, 2 players that can impact the game in a lot of ways, right? Then you pair him with Kuzma, who, hey man, just you have the green light whenever you touch the ball in offense. Shoot it. You get results like this. He had 25, 5, and 2 versus Boston. 5 of 8 from 3. Outplayed Tatum again. Then you have his scoring burst of him versus the 76ers. He had 39, 3-1, was like 60-something% from the field, maybe even 70. He was 5 of 8 from 3 again, so in his last 2 games, he's 10 of 16 from 3. And you just pair all 3 of them together, and they cover up each other's weaknesses. They play very well together, and they all seem to like playing well with each other. So, I don't know. It's just Ingram and Kuzma have stepped up after the trade deadline. Kuzma finally seems to be healthy, and like again, I hope this continues. This will be very, very, very good to see from now until April and even April, May. They did their fair share in both games to win, and we were thankfully, we came back against the Celtics and won that game, because if we didn't, this is what our week would have been like. Blown out by the Pacers. Trade deadline rumors go terrible. Then we would have got blown out by the Celtics if we did not make that comeback. So right away, you have blowout losses to the Pacers and the Celtics. Then you have Magic doing whatever the hell he's doing. I'm going to give Magic another summer before I critique and criticize him, because I believe he's earned that, and maybe he even earns another summer as well. But he said he is going to step down, which I don't know how truthful this is, if he doesn't get 2-star players or 2 max players. This is somewhat of the Jim Buss step down-ish type thing that he said, that if we're not in contention by year whatever, he'd step down. So we'll see. But like Magic said not to baby the young people, not to, like, they're professionals, they'll get with it. He's just going to hug it out, but then he also said he's not going to hug them. So, like, I don't know what's going on. I don't think anyone does, but Ingram and Kuzma responded very well to the circus, and I believe Lonzo would have as well, because everyone's always talking around Lonzo, and he always seems to just play through it, and that's one of his best qualities, and it's nice to see that come through with Ingram and Kuzma. They did both of their share to win games. And like I said, I don't understand how people devalue Kuzma and Ingram. Kuzma, to me, is either the 6th man of the year on a contending team, like next year if we do get a free agent, or he's the number 2 option on a contending team in the future as well. Next year, he could be the 6th man if we do get who we want to get. Or in the future, he could be our number 1 scoring option with Ingram, Lonzo, setting him up for many, many years to come. Ingram has a chance to be a really good, maybe All-NBA player maybe All-NBA player when it's all said and done, with just how he can play defense, if he fine-tunes his three-point shot in the summer, if he gets rid of taking those awful mid-range shots and just focusing on attacking the rim, finishing around the rim, hitting the 3, setting up for others, and playing really good defense. Like, there is a way for Kuzma to get to where he's going to be, Ingram to get to where he's going to be, and Lonzo to get to where he's going to be, and Hart to get to where he's going to be. Like, there is all a system. It's just we need better coaching, better rotations, a better offense schematically. Because defense, Lonzo and Ingram do very well. And then Lonzo and Ingram are also playing very well on defense. That gives Kuzma the opportunity to kind of like take it easy on the defensive side to guard the other team's like least likely to score player. And that gives them the energy to run the court after a miss, finish in transition. There's just so many ways which these 3 players, and then if Hart gets back to what Josh Hart was at the beginning of this season and the end of last season, then there is a young core 4 there that will be ready to compete with anybody, given health, given a healthy LeBron as well, and if you add another piece to the puzzle next summer without taking them all away. I see so much potential in these 4 players sticking together if they're given healthy off seasons as well. So I'm glad that we didn't. I'm glad the Pelicans kind of saved us from ourselves, I believe. And very well could happen. AD comes and he makes us totally forget about the young core 4 next summer. But again, I see the value in these 4 players. I see what they can do And I don't judge them for what they are right now because I see what they can become. I don't judge them for, well, Kuzma and Ingram both have better shooting splits than those two in Boston, but a lot of people look at Lonzo's shooting splits and like hammer at him, but other point guards have shot terribly and turned it around. And it's one of those players that is rumored to be the next head coach, which I do not want Jason Kidd to be our next head coach, but there are plenty of examples that a player increased his percentages year by year by year to kind of mask his weaknesses, and that's what I believe Lonzo will do as well. So then in return it could highlight his strengths, but it is what it is. That'll be it. Until the next time we speak, go Lakers.